Hello friends, we have seen in medicinal chemistry two lectures which spoke about physicochemical properties and drug action. We saw effect of ionization on drug action and effect of stereochemistry on drug action. In the series, this is the third lecture which discusses the effect of hydrogen bonding on drug action. Hydrogen bonding is a concept which is not new to you. You have studied about hydrogen bonding in 11-12 standard, and then you have also studied hydrogen bonding in the first year. So now let us see the details of hydrogen bonding and its effect on drug action with respect to biology. You have studied it with respect to chemistry. So let's start with the lecture. What is a hydrogen bond? A hydrogen bond is indicated by such dotted line. Okay. What is a hydrogen bond? Just try to understand. This is a hydrogen atom. This is attached to a highly electronegative atom. And so the shared pair of electrons in the covalent bond is more towards oxygen. As a result, this hydrogen gets a partial positive charge. On the other hand, this is the other molecule of water. Here, the oxygen is very electronegative. So apart from having two lone pairs of electrons, it will also pull the shared electron pairs towards itself. So this gets a partial negative charge. And therefore, these two atoms, the hydrogen with a partial positive charge and oxygen with a partial negative charge, these two are from two different molecules. They are attracted to each other and form a bond called as hydrogen bond. This hydrogen bond has a partial ionic character and partial covalent character. Ionic character because of partially positively charged and partially negatively charged are in the vicinity. Covalent character because there is some overlap of orbitals. So a covalent character. But it differs from ionic bond in the sense ionic bond can be formed in anywhere, whereas this is a directional. Hydrogen bond can be formed in this direction, not over here or over here. Okay, so this is directional. It is different from covalent bond also. Covalent bond has a typical bond angle of 180, whereas a hydrogen bond can have a bond angle from 180 to 150. Although the strength of the hydrogen bond decreases as the bond angle decreases. Okay. The bond length of a hydrogen bond is slightly higher than that of a covalent bond. The bond strength is much lower than covalent bond. The bond strength of hydrogen bond is 1 to 10 kilocalories per mole. That of a covalent bond is much, much higher. This hydrogen bond is stronger than ordinary dipole-dipole and dispersion forces. But it is weaker than covalent bond. It is also weaker than ionic bond. Look at this. There has been a hydrogen bond formed between two molecules of water. So, in these two molecules, one acts as a hydrogen bond donor. Look at this. This is a heteroatom to which hydrogen is attached, and this entire group, OH group, is called as a hydrogen bond donor because it donates hydrogen for hydrogen bond formation. So this is called as a hydrogen bond donor. On the other hand, look at this blue oxygen. Okay, it accepts hydrogen bond, and so it is called as a hydrogen bond acceptor. Any hydrogen bond donor is a group which has an electronegative atom attached to hydrogen. Whereas Any hydrogen bond acceptor is an electronegative atom. Now, all the hydrogen bond donors are also acceptors. Look at this, the NH2 group or RNH2. Okay, this is an amine. This hydrogen is, NH is a hydrogen bond donor, so it has formed a hydrogen bond with water or alcohol molecule. But this N can also act as an acceptor because it has a lone pair of electron or more electron density, and therefore this RNH2 is a donor as well as acceptor. But look at this case, the carbonyl group. Okay, this carbonyl group does not have a hydrogen attached to heteroatom, and therefore this carbonyl group can act only as acceptor. Okay, this differentiation is more about understanding than about writing in the exam. Okay, now coming to which heteroatoms can form hydrogen bonds. Most commonly, oxygen and nitrogen can act as hydrogen bond acceptors, and protons attached to oxygen and nitrogen can act as hydrogen bond donors. What about phosphorus and fluorine? Phosphorus is mostly positively charged. It does not have sufficient electron density to form a hydrogen bond. To act as an hydrogen bond acceptor, you need to have an electron density around that atom. Phosphorus lacks that. Let us see about others. Fluorine. Fluorine is highly electronegative and it does not share its pair of electrons. It does not want to share its pair of electrons with the hydrogen, and so fluorine does not form hydrogen bonds. Coming to chlorine, it is less electronegative than fluorine, but its size is larger. See, the electronegativity of chlorine and oxygen is same, but chlorine has a larger size and same electron density. So it forms very weak hydrogen bonds. Sulfur has a larger size than oxygen and therefore obviously less electron density. So it forms weak hydrogen bonds. So two most important atoms which participate in hydrogen bond formation are oxygen and nitrogen. Now, let us see the types of hydrogen bonds. There are two types of hydrogen bonds. First are intermolecular hydrogen bonds, which are formed between two molecules. Just have a look at this. This is one molecule. Have a look at this. This is one molecule of paranitrophenol. This is another molecule, and they have formed a hydrogen bond. The hydrogen bond acceptor has come from the nitro group of paranitrophenol, and hydrogen bond donor has come from the phenolic OH group of another molecule of paranitrophenol. So this is a hydrogen bond. In case of orthonitrophenol, both hydrogen bond donor and hydrogen bond acceptor come from the same molecule. So this is called as intramolecular hydrogen bond. Okay. If we talk about orthonitrophenol versus paranitrophenol, orthonitrophenol forms an intramolecular hydrogen bond and it is less water soluble. Why? Because upon forming intramolecular hydrogen bond, this is a five-membered ring that is a six-membered ring that is formed. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. A six-membered ring is a very stable thing, and therefore these molecules become more stable, whereas these are not all that stable, so they are more water soluble. Now, The next question that anybody will ask me is why stable molecules are less water soluble. So let us try to understand that. If a solute has to dissolve in a liquid, the solute molecules must be dispersed in that liquid. They should not coagulate together. Okay. So when a solute dissolves in a solid, the solute molecules are present singly throughout the solute, throughout the solvent. Okay, not solute. This is throughout the solvent. I don't know why this is not working. Anyways. Then, after a certain concentration, the solute molecules which were dispersed throughout the liquid now start associating within themselves, and so the precipitation occurs. Okay. When the solute molecules are dispersed, what happens? Bonds of attraction holding the particles together in a solute are replaced by interaction between solvent and solute. So, in simple words, when a solute dissolves in water, the solute molecules form hydrogen bonds with water. When they form hydrogen bonds, they dissolve. Okay. And if the solute molecule is stable with itself, such as this, an intramolecularly hydrogen bonded molecule is very stable. So it does not easily break this hydrogen bond to form different hydrogen bonds with water. And so this is less soluble in water. Okay. That means if there are stronger interactions between solute particles, it is less favorable for solute to dissolve in water. Just as in intramolecular hydrogen bonding. But if there are stronger interactions between solute and solvent molecule like the hydrogen bonding, then the solubility increases. Now coming to hydrogen bonds and bioavailability. Okay. If you remember, most oral drugs are absorbed through gut wall by transcellular absorption. Now, for this absorption to occur, water molecules should be removed and the molecule itself, the naked molecule itself should be going through the gut wall. Okay. For this, what is required is desolvation. Okay, desolvation means separation of water molecules from the drug. Now, when this desolvation occurs, there is energy required for that. And if the solvation is to a greater extent, then desolvation requires much more energy. Okay. So, you don't want too many hydrogen bond donors or acceptors, because if there are too many hydrogen bond donors or acceptors, what will happen is lot of hydrogen bonds will be formed with water, and then desolvation becomes very, very difficult. So you don't want lot many, but this is not enough. Lot many means how many? So how many hydrogen bonding partners are okay? Hydrogen bond donor should be less than or equal to 5. Okay, not more than that. And hydrogen bond acceptors less than or equal to 10. Now, I hope you realize every functional group has one hydrogen bond donor. Okay, that is the OH or NH, one hydrogen bond donor. But incorporated in that hydrogen bond donor is one hydrogen bond acceptor. Okay, if it is OH, then the H forms hydrogen bond donor, and O can also act as hydrogen bond acceptor. And so hydrogen bond donors less than or equal to 5 and hydrogen bond acceptors less than or equal to 10. Okay. Now coming to the last part, that is hydrogen bonding and receptor binding. Hydrogen bonding interaction is an important interaction between a drug and the receptor. How? Most of the receptors are protein in nature. The proteins contain a peptide backbone. Okay, peptide backbone is CONH, where there are plenty of hydrogen bond donors and acceptors. If you take a protein as a whole, there are a lot of peptide bonds and therefore a lot of peptide hydrogen bond donors and acceptors which are available to bind to their counterparts in drug. Just see how, if this is the receptor and this is the carbonyl group of the peptide bond. Okay, this is a drug and this is the OH group of the drug. The H can act as, this OH acts as a hydrogen bond donor and forms a hydrogen bond with the carbonyl oxygen. In this case, the second case, there is OH on the receptor. Serine is a amino acid which has an additional OH group. So this OH acts as a hydrogen bond donor and binds with the hydrogen bond acceptor of the drug molecule, forming a hydrogen bond. Okay. Formation of a hydrogen bond stabilizes the complex because bond formation lowers the energy. And multiple such interactions can occur between the drug and the receptor. So, hydrogen bond formation is a major contribution to lowering of the energy of the drug receptor complex. Okay, so with this, we end the lecture on drug receptor, hydrogen bonding and its role